Hey, I'm JD. Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe, please hit like, and please enjoy my videos if you can. So today I'm going to be working on what I'm calling the Billy watch. It's an old Waltham pocket watch. It's a hunter, which means that the 12 o'clock is at the 90-degree angle to where it normally is. And it's a case that closes. Now they call them hunter cases, but it's really the hunter position of the dial and not a hunter case. But anyway, I won't correct anybody out there, but we're going to have a look at this watch today, and it's been cleaned, and I just really need to reassemble it and oil it. So another thing too is on Sunday night at 8:30, usually 8 o'clock, we're going to do a little bit of a chat with 4 watchmakers, just shoot the breeze on watchmaking and maybe diagnostics this time. And I'll process the video and have it up on Sunday evening likely, and or Monday evening, one or the other. So we're going to try this out. Eventually it might become a live blog. It's 8:30 to 9:45 I think, or something like that. 8:30 to 9:15 because it's 45 minutes long. So anyway, keep an eye out for that. That's coming soon. So right now let's just get working on this Billy watch. Alright, here we are. Here's the wonderful pocket watch here, and what I need to do is start taking parts out of the cleaning bins. I've got the camera set up a bit differently this time. I've got a close-up camera on the side, and I've got another camera on the, like a close-up camera right in front of me, I guess, and another camera on the side. So, and they're autofocus, which is good, so I can move this just slightly out of the way. Had a problem with USB, I think. It just wouldn't connect. Don't know why. It's always, these cameras are always interesting with the OBS software. Sometimes it's almost impossible to get the thing working properly. So let's just take the parts out and get them spread out. And we got the lid here. Oh, and by the way, I did deliver the Frankenwatch and the Bride of Frankenwatch, and the gentleman who I delivered it to said that the Bride of Frankenwatch winding sounded like it was grinding in sand. I was like, okay, what's that all about? So that was not something that was happening when I was cleaning it and fixing it and that kind of stuff. So I'd be interested to see. He's returning it so I can have a quick look at it, and I'd be interested to see what exactly is going wrong. Not sure actually, but we shall see, and we shall fix that. So the good news is the holidays are coming, which means I got plenty of time to do watch work, and that is a good thing. So I can get on with watch repair work, which is nice. So the first thing I need to do here is get that spring, the mainspring here, back into the barrel. Now I probably will do this by hand, because doing it with a I might be able to actually do it with a mainspring winder. So, but I do want to get some of these parts out here, so I'm going to switch to my other glasses, because I can actually see with my other glasses. With these glasses I have on now, they're just reading glasses. I can't see a darn thing. So I call this the Billy watch because it's an old pocket watch from a friend of mine whose name is Billy, and his father gave him this watch. Likely got it from his grandfather. So I do like repairing watches that have some meaning to people, right? I will not repair watches that people buy on eBay and send to me to fix. That is not why I do this. So that ain't happening. Just in case you're curious. So let me switch glasses. These glasses here are just my standard reading glasses, and of course these ones have the airy loop. And this is going to help me see some of the stuff I'm going to pull out of the basket here. So I got the minute wheel. Just hold that really carefully. Everything gets put out of the way. I got the hour wheel here. I've got the cannon pinion. It's for pinioning cannons. There it is there, the cannon pinion. Then I have the barrel top, I'll say, with the arbor on it. It's a different kind of barrel. It makes it a little trickier to get this thing in there and working properly, because you kind of have to rotate it in, which is a little bit painful. So vintage pocket watch work is generally not easy. So That's why not a lot of people do it. Just me and 5 other guys. So I'm going to open these little canisters here and dump these too. So I got all kinds of stuff in here. Let me just get this out of the way for a second. And there we go. So myself, Chris Spinner, and a gentleman called, has got a site called I Shoot Watches, are going to join us. Yeah, that's in good condition. It's going to join us on Sunday night at 8:30 for a chat about watchmaking. And I'm going to be recording the chat and putting it on my channel shortly after. Hopefully it will be a day after or that night. I think by the time I'm finished the chat, though, I'll be pooped, so I won't have the energy to talk. But the gentleman from I Shoot Watches is logging in from Switzerland. So he said that it's 2 a.m. his time, which is mighty gracious of him to be joining us at that time. So good for him. And Chris, I think it's Chris Spinner. I don't think it's Spinner. Yeah, it is Spinner. Chris Spinner and I had a chat last week, and we're going to try to do this maybe every week, maybe every 2 weeks. We'll just see how it goes. We may do live after. This is the start of it, the evil start, just to see what comes out of this. I'm just dumping all the watch parts on my desk here, my table, and just getting ready to put this baby together. Now, this mainspring, I may have to wind this by hand. I know I've got a mainspring winder that I use, and it's a good one. Tap this down like that, and I've got this plate here that I've got to deal with. So this is not a high jeweled watch. This is like a 7 jewel watch, but it means something to my friend, so that's why I want to make sure it gets going, right? And get that in the basket and everything out of the way. Just lower it like that, use my fingers, everything gets down to the bottom, and I put the basket into a box. And I do that normally just so I don't lose parts. If I were to drop the basket and lose parts, that wouldn't be good. So there you go. Alright, this is my very vintage mainspring winder. Now, I have a barrel on it already, but this barrel's way too big for this watch, so I'm going to just see if I can fit a different barrel in here. Probably, it's got to go inside, so the barrel actually has to be a bit bigger than what it's going into, so I have to test a few of them here and see which one fits. So this one does fit, but it's pretty tight. So you want to be able to, I want to be able to hook. I want to be able to hook the mainspring on the edge there, right where that mainspring hook is. So if the barrel's too big, then I can't hook it properly. And that one is way too big. And maybe this one's too small. I'm screwed. I will have to put it in by hand if that's the case, right? Oh, geez, this one's stuck. It's never been used. Yeah, that one is in there well. We can get another screwdriver here to loosen this up a bit. Just going to move this out of the way. And I got a couple of mainspring winders, and perhaps I can use my very high-end vintage mainspring winder to do this, but that barrel would have to be really nice. So there we go. That's that barrel there, and that does fit in there, but that's way too loose. That's way too loose. So I'm going to have to resurrect my other mainspring winder and see if it's any better. So I'll be back in a second. Alright, here's my other mainspring winder set here. It's a really nice set I've got. And these are, not sure whether these are right-handed or left-handed, but they do have a direction. So you gotta wind the mainspring in the proper direction. And it has to do with the hook on the bottom here of the mainspring winder, and the hook hooks a certain way, and if you have it the other way, it won't work. Let me see if I can get a zoom in for the hook. There you go. See that hook there? That hook hooks one way and not the other way, and that the reason for that is if you twist it the other way, it takes the basically takes the mainspring unwinds if you hook it the other way. So if I look at these mainspring winders, what I want to do is find one that fits the barrel so I can use it. So, and again, I'll be winding. I'm going to pick a big one so I can see the hook on it, but I'll be winding the mainspring. Let me see. Let me pick a monster here. There we go. There's a monster. And if I look at that hook, it's you're spinning it this way, so you're going clockwise. So it's a clockwise winder. So I'd have to get the mainspring on there and then do it clockwise. So, which means that the barrel. So clockwise. I'll have to figure this out. It's always so confusing. I think it's easier with my other mainspring winders because there's no left and right. They just work. So I have to pick one that fits in the barrel. This one here is probably too small. Plus I can't get it out. Just put that one back for a second. It's probably not this one anyway. Let's see, 6, 9, 8, 7. Let's see, the 7 good. And just put that down in here. That's too small. And again, it's got to be in the right direction, or it doesn't really matter how big it is, it won't work. So this one here, and that is too big. This is like Goldilocks in the mainspring winders. Too big, too small, just the size of Montreal. Let me see, what do I got here? I want to get 9. I think 9 is too big as well. I had this out earlier, and that is definitely, oh, it's close. It's very close. So an 8 might do. 8 might be the one. Let's have a look at 8. Let's see how 8 fits on here. So 8 fits. 8 does fit. And I think it's just loose enough, so 8 is good. But I still don't know whether it's the right direction. I need to get my photo of the barrel, and maybe it's clockwise, maybe it's not. So here's a picture of the spring in the barrel, so it's going spiraling clockwise outward from the barrel. So it's going clock. I think I continued to record the whole time, so I'll have to edit some of that out. Anyway, so there it is there, so I just have to undo this here and then pull this out like that. And then I've got the pokey part here, and that worked exceptionally well. I put that back in the case with all of the mainspring winders. Let me just show you that really quickly before I put it away. Grab this here, put this out of the way, like that. And there's the mainspring winder case here, the old wooden case. I got a very good deal on this, and it's a really nice set. So as long as the springs wind clockwise, I'm in business. If they don't wind clockwise, then it becomes a bit challenging. So, and I can use my other mainspring winder if that's the case. This one here, and this one also works fairly well. So it's very vintage, right? I've got some other mainspring winders, but these are the main ones. These are the main ones. These are the godfathers of mainspring winders. So now I want to put, this is an old mainspring, and I want to put a little bit of oil on this. So what I do is I grab my oiler like this, and then I clean off the end of it. And actually I'll use this oiler, it's no problem. And I want to use my, I'll call it red oil, and you can look it up. It's not the 9010, and it's not the D5. So it's the red oil. And I put a little bit of oil on each side here. Like that. Now, if this were an automatic watch, you'd have to put a special type of grease on the barrel in order for the mainspring to grab the barrel just enough to allow it to slip. If you overwind the watch, like you wind it too much, the barrel will slip. So this is the tricky part coming up here. So I'm going to be putting the arbor in here, and then hopefully this will grab. It'll grab the mainspring and then pull it around. So if it doesn't, I got other problems. It seems actually pretty loose, so I'm hoping that this works. This is one time where you actually do have to hope in watch work. Now if I move it this way, is it grabbing it? I think it is. Yes, it is. And I'm going to put this in place right away. So I can't remember whether this, when I look at this piece here, I don't recall this part, the square part, I don't recall it being on the outside, but it would almost make sense when you put it in like this. If I put it in like this, and yeah, no, it has to be like this, so it has to be this way. So I have to move the click spring out of the way to do this. So I'm going to see if I can get my camera a little bit closer here. Alright, that's a bit closer. And for this, I think I may need 2 tweezers to get this going here. And I got to lower my seat because I need to get in close and deep and dirty to get this done properly. So I got my lens over the top here, and I just want to move this out of the way. And then drop it in here, like so. I don't believe it needs any oil. I don't think it does anyway. If it did, the oil would be right on the edge of this. Let me look at the back here. Yeah. No, that's just for winding it up. So, and steel and brass work really well together, so I don't think I want to put any oil in there. I'll just leave it like that and let the click spring drop down in place. That's the click spring right there. And then the barrel goes in there like so. And I was trying to line up the square part of the arbor, just because I think that's actually in place right now. And yep, it should do. And now I just want to do a little bit of oiling of some of the winding mechanisms to make sure that they're lubricated properly. So first thing is the tip of this here, right there, a little oil there. I don't need to worry about the spring, and I want to oil where the scrapes here on the crown, and then a little bit of oil on the inside here. And when you oil like this, the oil tends to spread around. There's usually no problem with it spreading around. It'll spread around nicely. So, and I just want to make sure that I want to make sure this screw is still tight. That's not loosened up. Yeah, so that's not too bad. That's good there. You don't want to over tighten the screw in these watches because it'll pop right out, and then you'll have another problem altogether. So that's that. And now the plates need to go on. So I think I probably have to put the center wheel in first, but I'm going to refer back to my photo and have a look at that. Alright, so this is what it looks like. So I should put the barrel in, the center wheel goes next, and it's a sequence of events. So if I look at this, the first thing I should do actually is put the pallet fork in with the bridge, and then put the escapement in, and then work my way up through these wheels until I get to the top one here. If I do it any other way, it's not going to come together. Alright, so the pallet fork, the world's smallest pallet fork, by the way. I'm going to make sure I just jab this a bit in my Rodico in the end so no hairs got on it or anything, right? Because even though I clean this by hand, stuff can still get on there that you don't want on there. So let me just put the pallet fork in place. The guard pin on the pallet fork goes in the upward direction here. And it pivots in the hole there. And then the pallet fork bridge goes on top, and they call it the bridge because there's a bridge. There's 2 screws on either side, 1 screw on either side, and it is a bridge. So the pallet fork bridge goes on like that. I'm going to put my glove on in a second so I don't touch too much stuff going around. As you can see, watchmaking is very meticulous. So this is not a very complex watch. It's a simple pocket watch, and like you saw in one of my videos where I was doing a repair. Actually, it had to be a repair on a Valjoux 7750 chronograph. That is a complex beast, and not one to be taken lightly. So this, I believe, goes in like this on top, like so, and the holes have to line up with the holes. And that, my friends, is not the way you line them up. It's because, oh yeah, snap that around. It's because the pallet fork the assembly is so small that it's a bit painful to put this back together. It's not easy because you've got to drop it in place just so, right? So I'm going to see if I can get around this way here and do it. Look down to the holes and see if I can see through it. I sort of can. I'm going to get my Bergeron stick. My Bergeron stick. The stick of all sticks. The stick. The 7010. So somebody wrote me and said it's pronounced polyamide, I think is what they said. So I'm going to just touch this for a second and then do it with the other end here. Let's see if this is in place at all. Come on, you bugger. Something I've done before is I've taken the 2 screws for the 2 screws that are part of the. Let me see. I think I put the screws in here. I'm hoping I put the screws in here. Where are all the screws? They may be underneath this here, I think. There we go. There's the land of the screws. And I've got 2 screws here for the bridge. Screw 1, bridge screw 1, and bridge screw 2. So I can put those in ever so lightly. And let me just get these out of the way while I'm in here. I should be playing music in the background. The problem with it is that every time I play music in the background and I try to monetize my video, I get copyright bullshit. So it's kind of defeats the purpose. So I do make a little bit of revenue from these videos, not a lot. I'm talking enough for a loaf of bread. It's a loaf of bread worthy revenue. So what I'll do is take these screws here and I'll put them in place, and I'll drop them in here, and then you turn them but not tighten them, because you don't want to you don't want to, for some reason, foul the pivot for the pallet fork. There's one, and I think I can just do one for now and see if that will go down, and then straighten get that pivot through the two holes, and then we're good. I think that's in place. Again, I'll test that just to make sure I'm not screwing anything up. So, because you absolutely can. The good news is the bridge is flat, which usually means that it's not going to go anywhere. So. That is in place. You just push up on this a bit. And there's no movement at all. I'm going to just tighten these down a bit on both sides. And do I still have a very free bridge? Or a free pallet fork? Yes, I do. Free Willy, Free Willy. Now I can tighten these with the comfort of knowing that they're not squishing the pivots. So that's done. So that pallet fork is now in place. That's one of the hardest things to do, I think, when you're doing the watch work, is put that pallet fork in place. Now, there's some oil I love to use on the face of the stones here. This is Bergerac Mobius 9415. And it's kind of a gel, and you put it very carefully on the stones of the pallet fork, and you don't need a lot, just a little tiny bit. Too much is too much, and anything less than too much is good. There, put those in the stones of the pallet fork, and that ensures that the pallet fork will slip really nicely when it's so again, that's Mobius 9415. I don't think any of these oils are cheap, but this is a good one. This is a nice one, and it's used for the stones of the pallet fork. So that's that. And then if I grab, next thing I want to do very carefully is grab the escapement. And that escapement would go down next. And that's going to be lined up, obviously, with the pallet fork. So and of course it's giving me problems. There we go. I believe the pivot is in the hole right now. It's kind of leaning there until you put the upper plate on. So, and then you want to put in the fourth wheel, and you know it's the fourth wheel because it's it should be, because it's a Hunter watch, it's going to be at 90 degrees to the stem. So that's the fourth wheel, and I just put that down like this. And that should go, it should drop right in actually. Come on, get in there. There's always a reason why something doesn't go in. I know what the reason is. The reason is it's not the fourth wheel. It's the intermediate wheel. So again, never force anything and you don't have any issues. Here's the fourth wheel. So if you don't force any parts, you're not going to have a problem. So that was the intermediate wheel, not the fourth wheel. And now I've got the next wheel. I look at my diagram here from before, my picture. Where is it? I'm just looking at my photos here, and there it is there. So yeah, it's pinion up, pinion up. I just wanted to make sure I was right here. So this just sits right in here with pinion up. I'm trying to line this up and it's not easy. In some cases, pocket watches are easy because it's less parts. In other cases, they're super difficult because they're not really made that well for taking apart and putting back together again. And the smaller ones, this is a smaller one. I think this is a size 6. I don't think it's a 12. I think it's a 6. Smaller ones are a real pain in the ass. And I think I told my buddy that too, and he doesn't care. He's like, "Oh, you can fix it." That's what I want to talk about. When people know you're a watch guy, they tend to want to give you their problems, whether you want it or not. I think it's in there. Yeah, I think I got some success here. There we go. Now I'll put the center wheel in. I think this is the longest it's ever taken me to put the wheels in a watch. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's because it's Saturday or something. Let's just drop straight down like that. There we go. And now I've got a couple plates I have to put over the top. Plate number 1 and plate number 2. Right? Of course, I didn't take any videos of the plates, but that shouldn't matter. That should be pretty easy. So when you look at the plates, you can see that one of the plates has a groove in it, and that groove goes where the stem goes. So, and you want the stem to ride through nicely. Now, steel and brass work super well together, so I don't have to do too much to make sure that this is lubricated. But I take my D5 yellow lube, and I put a little bit here on the stem. And that just lets it slide around nicely, which is a good thing. And let me just put that back like that, and then I can take this here, and this just goes straight down on top of everything. So I think I can hold it from the side right over here and drop it down. And hopefully the pivots will all fall in place as well. Where is this? Where is the groove? Ooh, la groove. Right there. So it looks like a lot of the parts, yeah, they all fall into here. So maybe I want to put the other one in first. Not sure. Nah, let's just put this down and call it a day. There we go. Sometimes you just let it go and it falls into place. So then you've got to tweak the pivots. You tweak them until they get in place. So I find that the other thing that's good to do is if you put a couple of screws down, but again, you don't tighten them. That way the plate stays where it's supposed to be. Then you can fart around with the pivots after. Just put one screw down in here and then screw that down. You're just kind of holding the plate in place a bit here. So just back it up a bit so once I hear it tick and then go forward. If it doesn't feel like it's going in easy, then stop and back off, because you're probably stripping the screws. And unless you've got a really good lathe and extra good kung fu technique, then you could very easily ruin the watch. So now that I've got it down here, and these screws are not tight at all. So now I've got to get the pivots in here, one at a time. There's always one holding the other one. So if I look at these the way they're rocking, I can look in from the side and I can see which ones are not in place. Again, I'm holding this extremely lightly, right? Because I don't want to disrupt anything here. I can feel some of them going into place here. Again, holding it. Oh, there we go. And I put a little bit of pressure here, and I can see that the escapement is moving. And it looks as though, yeah, the plates are flat all the way around. So again, you work your way around. In this case, the third wheel right here, or the intermediate wheel. Third wheel was the one that was the longest pull in the tent, and then once I got that into place, I rocked the fourth wheel with the minute hand, or the seconds hand rather, and rocked that, and then the escapement came into place and it all kind of fell down. So that's what you do. Get yourself one of these little devices here. I bought this at a hobby shop. They're easy to find. I'm not sure what they're for, maybe knitting or something, but they're cheap as heck, and I use it I have always used it for aligning the pivots. So now I'll tighten it, but not hard. Again, I want to make sure everything's in place, and so I take my tweezers, and then on the center wheel I will just move that ever so slightly, or I can move the mainspring here, but I just want to make sure that, yeah, I can see the power going all the way to the escapement. So I'm good. No problemo. Is that right? Problemo. And now I can throw in the mainspring. It's funny that they only have one. I think they designed this so you could replace the mainspring. That's why they did that. So, and I don't know if that's in place yet. Seems like it needs to go down a bit. Yeah. So that's not even in place yet, the mainspring. So if I wind it, it might fall into place. That's another way of doing it. So if I get a bench key out and turn this, it might actually, the mainspring may actually fall in place. Right now it's not doing anything, so yeah. So I have to play with this again. Yeah, and it's this, the wheel on the bottom is the wheel problem. Get it? That's a joke. So what I can do is take the movement out. I know I've got the plate in here nicely done, so there's no problem there, but I can remove the movement, put a little pressure, because I can see the arbor popping out here on the top, and that arbor you want to go all the way through to the back, and right now it's not aligned, so I can see that from the other side. Now with any luck I'll be able to align that arbor. There it is. So that's up and down, no problem, but I'm not sure if it's aligned properly. So that has to go into the square part of the hole and then go all the way down. Is that in there now? No, I can see the arbor still up high. So let me think here. If I grab the arbor and use a pin vise here, because I've done this before. I'm not sure what size I need to use. Like this is probably too small. But if I use a pin vise, or not a pin vise, but whatever the hell these things are called. This one's a big one. I may be able to grab it and turn it so it fits in. Looking at it from all the angles here. There we go. So that's, I don't know what direction tightens it. Is that widening it or tightening it? It's tightening it. No, it's not tightening it. Let me see, if I turn it this way, it tightens it. So this way is tighten it. I may end up having to take the barrel out again. I don't want to do that, but I may have to. I just tightened it, but I missed the target. Yeah, these barrels are a real pain in the ass, I'm telling you. But I'm going to record all my failures here and see if I can do this again on record here. Alright, so I grabbed it now, so again I'm never sure what direction I have to turn this damn thing. I may have to take it all out. You see the clock thing and went clockwise, so it was like that. So it's counterclockwise to wind it, right? I think that's right. Counterclockwise to wind it. So if I turn this counterclockwise, am I going to get anywhere here? I don't think so. Let me just undo this, and I think we're going to have to take the barrel out, but I'm going to go off camera and have a look at this again. So it turns out the way to do this is to hold the arbor in one hand. I'll watch myself so I don't touch the fourth wheel here as I go around. But hold the arbor in one hand. On the other side, you put the bench key in, and then you wind this way until there's a gear on the bottom here. That square has got a square hole, lines up with the squareness of the arbor, and then it works. So you're turning it until the ratchet wheel on the bottom of the watch is the ratchet wheel. The square part lines up with the square post in the arbor, then the arbor will fall down into place. So that was a total pain in the butt. So let me just put this back in the movement holder very carefully here, and I got to put that plate in before anything moves, because that was not easy, folks. That was not easy at all. But note to file, that's how you do it. So just throw that in here. I'm going to get on top of my watch here so I can see what I'm doing. There we go. Okay. That should then be flat on both sides. So I'm just going to hold this down with my finger until I get the screws in place here, because I do not want this to move. I do not want this to move. I do not want this to move. There we go. Screw one, and then screw two can go in now. And I got to make sure I oil all of this, including the back end where the arbor sticks through the hole, because there'll be friction there for sure. I probably could use a screwdriver a little bit bigger than this, but for now that's not bad. There we go. Now what I want to do is I'm going to wind this a bit and then see if the pallet fork moves. So I'm just going to put this in like this so I can get a grip on the pallet fork, and I just wind this just a bit with my bench key here. Now, is that pallet fork going to move on me? Let me see. Oh yeah. Pallet fork is ticking back and forth. Now I can just tick it a few times here just to get that 95 or 9415 grease spread around like that. And there we go. So that's good. That's excellent. So that's success, I would say. And now I'm going to tighten these down as well. My screwdriver slipped a bit, but that's no big problem there. Now, just so I don't forget, I'm going to put a little bit of oil where it needs to be. So I'm going to put some oil on the center wheel here. That'll go inside there. And a little bit of oil on the intermediate wheel, and then some oil on the there we go, and then a little tiny bit of oil on the escapement. I think I'll use 9010 for the escapement. And there's actually no oil cup for the pallet fork, so I put a little bit in there, but there's really no oil cup, so it's not needed. So that's that. That's a partial rebuild. So I should process the video as a partial rebuild. And then what time is it? It's getting a little bit late, and I may not want to complete it today because I don't want to be tired when I'm working on it. But that is what I'm telling you. So let me look at the, put that aside, because the next thing to do would be to put the grab, there we go, grab this, and I would want to put the let me see how that's going in there. It's no problem there at all. Yeah, so I'm going to just toss, I'm going to toss this balance with the spring on it into a bath. So it's going to be all on its own, taking a bath. The screwdriver is way too big. I'm going to switch screwdrivers. I get a little bit tired right now, so I might process the video and see where we're at.